Sweet Holy.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
It's the Scotts.
one more time.
One more time.
This is Teresa.
Hey, and that's Gerald.
Thank you.
As if y'all didn't already know.
Right.
Anyway, we came back to you today to talk about what?
Marriage.
Yay! Marriage. Okay, listen, everybody. Y'all already know that we've been married for almost 16 years.
November the 4th.
November the 4th will be 16 years. Who would have thunk it?
I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have. I didn't think we was going to be married this long.
No.
Not at all. But we are.
Yeah.
So,
Better today than yesterday.
we want to let you know that even though you might think your relationship is not worth saving or is not going to last, look what God can do when you give in to His will.
Amen.
See,
I like that.
we had to give in to His will, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
See, y'all used to me talking about me being the bad wife and this, that, and the other. But like he said the other day in the other video we did, he had baggage too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And I would like to share a little bit of that
Yes.
in this video.
And share.
Some of the video of some of the baggage that I have that carried over into this marriage, and it carried, I guess, in some regards, even to today, in some respects. It always will, to a certain extent. As many of you know, I have cerebral palsy and was born with that, diagnosed at 14 months old with having cerebral palsy. And because of that, growing up, I was teased and mocked and made fun of by my other colleagues, my other children in the neighborhood, and particularly in the school, more so than the neighborhood. They were pretty cool with me. I grew up with them, but the kids in the school were not as kind. Let's put it like that. They pushed me down one time. I was pushed into the tree, and I was taken to Misericordia Hospital, a hospital here in Philadelphia. And my mother asked the young man, why did he knock into me and push me down? He said he shouldn't have been in the way. So this is the kind of growing up that I was under at various times. I was born in the 50s, 1951, and this was a time where tolerance and political correctness and all that thing that we pride ourselves in today, which still has some things to grow into as well. Because we have other issues today that also show that. But in those days, they were self-esteeming challenges. They challenged my self-esteem, how I looked at myself, how I saw myself. Some of my best friends died at young ages. One died, he was 9 years old, was hit by a baseball, and he developed a cerebral hemorrhage and died right there on the spot. My best friend. Other friends left me one reason or another, whether because I moved away, we moved away when I was a kid to so many homes, and that meant I left my friends where I was and had to make new friends, and they would be there for a while. And then when I became a teenager, I was really not in the social environment at all because I was undergoing surgeries from 1965 to 1967. I was in hospitals off and on. So there was no social interaction with my peers, no growing and fellowshipping with them. And when I would get out, I was the boy on the crutches. I was the boy in the wheelchair. I was the boy that everybody said, oh man, you really have a lot of courage. We really admire you. We have no time for you. But we do admire you. You really are admirable. You inspire us as you stay over there. And so many days I would be home by myself without anyone, to be around me. And, my family were very supportive. My mother in particular, she would be there all the time in the hospital, there convalescing and all of this. My grandparents were there, but there were other members that never visited me in the hospital. Close relatives that never saw me in the hospital, never visited me. When I came out, they had no time to socialize with me or take me anywhere. I was just the boy in the wheelchair, the boy that had a physical disability. And so growing up, it really challenged my self-esteem. And that was a baggage that I carried in my relationships. I was nearly 30 years old before I got married for the first time. And that's because I didn't think no one could look at me like that. No one would see me as being, because I tried as a kid. I tried as a teenager and was rebuffed on every turn. Laughed at, mocked. I ain't gonna let you can't even walk right. I wouldn't look at you as no boyfriend. Some would be kind and say, oh, we'll just be friends, Gerald, we're just friends, we're good friends. And so when this happens over and over again, as you become 30 years old and never in a real relationship, the only relationship I had was with another person who was physically challenged. They had their own issues. They had been rapists, a child themselves. They had homosexual, lesbian situations in their lives, both they initiated as well as those that were thrust upon them. And they had all kinds of issues to the point that they ended up they became disabled because they were driving recklessly and got into an automobile accident. The person driving died and they became physically disabled. And so I was attracted to that individual. I first met them at a rehab center in Pennsylvania. We used to have rehab centers where people with disabilities would go to be trained in other things. It's no longer there. But this is the kind of life I lived. So I chose her to be, and we were together 11 years before I actually married her. And when we got married, there were issues there and other things, but I figured this is the best I can do. So I held on and held into the situation as long as I could. I virtually lost the church I was in and was assigned to another church because of a situation that was a part of the marriage situation. She wanted to find herself in life, and she left me and her children and our child in my care. And my church told me that I could stay their pastor as long as they sent the boys back to their grandparents. I could keep the girl, being my child, in the parsonage, but they weren't going to support me and those children in the parsonage, which was the church house. I decided when I married her, they became my sons as well as she was my daughter, and I refused to do it. They went to the presiding elder, who went to the bishop, and I was moved into a church that couldn't care whether I lived or died, and they told me that. I felt that way. They said that, and they acted like that. And so, once again, self-esteem being lowered and lowered. I was told that I would never. It took forever for me to pastor a church. Here I was ordained for years, and I was told one time I was trying to pastor, and I was up for pastoring, going to Bermuda, and the presiding elder looked at me and shook his head and said, "What's wrong with you? You had a stroke or something?" And of course, I didn't get the opportunity to pastor over there in Bermuda. Other times, I was looked over because of the disability, and was told when I was getting ready to retire because of my worsening physical condition, I was told straight up I would never get a promotion of a better church that could afford health care because I didn't fit the image of a first-class pastor. And so this type of thing began to build. And of course, every time I would choose someone that in my life that had a physical disability or some kind of physical challenge or self-esteem issues themselves that I felt that could accept me. And when I finally met Teresa, I really wasn't even looking to be involved with anybody at that point in my life. But I met her, and at first we didn't really see eye to eye. We didn't get along, to be honest with you. I knew she was attractive. She was a pretty woman. I knew that right off the bat. There's no doubt about that. But personality always plays a role with me. And her personality and my personality seem to clash on many occasions. But it's ironic that somewhere along all of this, there was an attraction that ran deeper than either one of us believed. Because I remember the first time there was evidence that she thought of me more than just someone who thought he knew, and maybe someone that she cared about, because we were working in a private daycare, and we were watching a TV show, and the manager or the runner of the person who ran the daycare, they had said something, and she retaliated. Teresa retaliated in my defense. She said something that was, what are you talking about him like that for? I don't think that's right. No, this is our boss now. She's jumping in her face. I said, well, that's something. So not long thereafter, we were, taking care of the kids. It was nap time. The kids went down to sleep. And I walked over to where she was sitting and gave her a big fat kiss.
No, you didn't. No, you did not.
Yes, I did.
No, you did not.
Well, you tell the story.
You're almost right. But what had happened was the kids, rightfully, like you said, were put down for a nap. Mm-hmm. And we were setting up the snack table. Remember? Over there in the corner, we were setting up their snacks because we had to have their snacks waiting for them when they woke up. Mm-hmm. So while we were standing there at the snack table, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden when I turned around, these lips right here were all across my face.
I don't remember it like that. I remember you were on the couch.
No.
And you were sitting there, and I came behind you, and I grabbed your head, and I turned it around. I kissed you.
No, we were standing at the table when you did that.
I'm older than you, so.
So grab my head like you did, and give me a kiss.
I can't do that. I'm like sitting in an angle.
Give me a kiss.
Let's give you that.
But it was he being gentle because when he did it before, his lips was all across my face, and I was like, "Well, dang." Anyway. So that's what sealed it right there. It was really sealed with the kiss.
You kissed with a kiss.
It was sealed with the kiss. Now his lips are red. Look at his lips.
Mm-hmm. Don't know that.
Oh, shook it now. Don't do that. So anyway, that's what started it. And of course, I didn't like him because I thought he knew it all because he was this theologian. Anyway, the lady that we was working for had already told me about Gerald because I was in ministry class and she said, well, I know somebody that can help you with your ministry class, with your notes and stuff. And she was like, Reverend Scott, he's smart. He can do it. And when I met him, I saw him come down the steps and he was so fine. I still today think he's so fine. So he came down the steps and she was like, this is Reverend Scott and he can help you with and then he started to help me, but he was like talking over my head and I was like, oh no, I don't need your help. No. So because I acted like that and wouldn't receive his help, he thought I was stuck up because I didn't want to receive his help. So he thought I was stuck up, right?
Mm-hmm. And she also said that too. She said, I got a bishop. No, he was a pastor at that time. When he bishop then. Right. My pastor can teach me everything I need to know.
That didn't make me stuck up just because I said that.
Okay.
Oh,
and your pastor was under me when I was pastoring in that same denomination he came out of. I could have been his pastor. That's how many years I was his senior in ministry.
Coulda, woulda. The point was,
and that's true.
I thought he thought he was Mr. Know-It-All, and he thought I was stuck up. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you still think I'm stuck up though?
Oh yeah, you've tempered in yourself in 16 years.
What makes you think I'm stuck up?
In 16 years, I said you tempered yourself.
But what? I mean, really? I don't think I'm stuck up at all.
High five.
No, high five.
High finger. Go on, girl.
This is the kind of stuff we go through
all the time.
Every day. Behind closed doors. If somebody's here, if somebody's not here. This what happens all the time. And 3 years ago, you wouldn't have seen this happening. You would. What? He would have said that he thought I was stuck up and we would have been in an argument. Oh, yeah. Just because of that. Because I would have been like, what you mean? What? I was stuck up? You don't even know. You was the one that was stuck up. And so you still think what you gonna do about it? Oh, I'm gonna just leave. That way you don't have to deal with nobody that's stuck.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
That's what I would have done. I'm just gonna leave. So let me just pack up my stuff right now. Then you don't have to deal with nobody who's stuck up. How about that? That's what I would have done about 3 years ago. So we've grown.
And let me say this too, in to follow up what you're saying. Sometimes people don't give their marriage a chance. Now, you're talking about we've been married 16 years. She just said 3 years ago it wouldn't have been like this. And let me tell you something. And she said it the other day. The not good times, the bad times, in sickness and in health and rich and poor and all of this. It was those challenging times, the health issues, the poor times. We were really virtually homeless because I don't think when you're living in a motel and you don't have a house to call your own, and you can't even get your mail at a place because you had to get it in a post office box because you have no address, you're homeless. When you're living in somebody's basement because you can't afford to stay in the motel, that's homeless. No, we weren't in the street, but we were homeless, meaning that you had no place to have that you called your own. You had no address. No. She got hers at a post office box. I got mine at a post office box. They didn't bring no mail to the motel room. And we spent many different motel rooms. It wasn't the same motel. We can't even say that was home because we were one time in this place, another time that place. There was a time that the place caught on fire. We had to be moved by the Red Cross to another place. So we had no home from September of 2009 to 2010. It was what, February 2010. We had no home, no place that we could say this is where we live. You can find us here anytime you come here. We can get our mail here. We get our this here. We get our that here. No.
And it was very challenging, and it was challenging beyond what we can even say. It was very challenging, but God. If it's God's will for somebody to be together, they're going to be together. If they don't be together and it's God's will, it's not because of God, it's because of the people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we curse what we have. We curse it with our mouths. We say evil things out of our mouths, but we expect it to be good. Like, I remember I was talking to my husband how the Lord showed me in my dream the other night how, in the beginning of our marriage, I was working for someone. We were working for the same people, but my hours were, I was working like 12, 13, 14 hours a day. I was never home. But at the same time, I was expecting him to love me, nourish me, and cherish me, and be this husband that I wanted him to be, but I was never there for him. I was there for somebody else. I was there for the pastor. I was there for the pastor's wife. I was there for them, and I was doing so much for them that I neglected my marriage. If you can go away from this video learning one thing from this, don't neglect your marriage.
And the second thing I would say,
don't neglect your marriage.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
Because at any given point, you're talking about 13 years, it was like this at various stages, 13 years. At any point, either one of us could have said, wait, this is over a decade like this. A decade. We're pushing almost a score. But a few more years will be a score years we've been together. And it's been like this all this time, and the difficult time, the homelessness and the disabilities both of us have had to endure, the disappointments, because of my physical condition and her physical condition. Even our intimacy has not been the way the average marriage would be, because of our difficulties in being able to do those things that come naturally to everybody else. Things that we have found natural. I've always had a problem because of my physical disability, but she never has had that kind of problem because she wasn't physically disabled until very recently. But by the time we got married, there were issues even with her physical condition that she could not do certain things that would have adjusted the situation. And so, but still, that's why I say somewhere along the way, no matter what we said, no matter how we even acted, there had to be love. There's no other explanation. There were times that I could have gotten into a senior place because I was a senior citizen by that time. She was still in her 40s. I was in my 50s. I could have gotten into a senior place. There were times that people offered her to come to live with them, but they couldn't accommodate me. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk up the stairs. At that time, I just fallen down the stairs, so I couldn't even hardly walk. I was, they couldn't accommodate me. And she could have gone and said, well, so long, Tulu. I'll see you when I see you. But she refused. She said, I'm not, what? I'm going to leave you here? And I'm going to live in a nice warm place and have you knowing that you can't by yourself. I know you can't pay for no motel. We can't hardly even do it together. I can imagine you by yourself with what you make, trying to pay every week, X amount of dollars every week. You would soon be you would be homeless. I mean, in the sense of houseless as well as homeless. You'd be out in the street somewhere. There's nowhere in the world you could have done it.
And that, I'm glad you brought up the point, and we're not going to keep this video long, but I'm glad you brought up the point about intimacy, because intimacy is a huge part of a relationship, a huge part of a relationship. And because we've had issues with intimacy, I've had problems virtually from the time we got married. With my women's issues and stuff. I finally had a hysterectomy because it was so bad. But even now, we both deal with problems that, we can't be like other people are. We can't be like, but that hasn't changed our love for one another. And I need people to really hear this and understand that if your relationship is based on sex and sex only, you got a problem.
And it's weird because the very first time we met, we said And in fact, in one point, she said, I don't understand how that could even be possible. That God could have brought us together and that be almost a non-factor. But years later now, that has become almost a non-factor. And it's certainly not a major factor at all. It's not even a factor really at all in the marriage that we have now. But we have found see, love is not limited.
It's not.
To one type of love. See, we understand that there's, we have the same mission, we have the same values, we have the same dream and aspirations. That means something. We're there for each other. That means something. You can bet your bottom dollar, and I'm not a gambling man, but you can still bet your bottom dollar that when she goes in the hospital, I'll be there every single day. I'm going to be there when she goes in for the exam that will determine what they're going to do with her hip, her knee, and her leg. I'll be there for that examination. I'll be there throughout the whole other time. I don't care what. I'm going to be right there. And we've been that way with each other all the time. Even when we weren't, quote, getting along, we were still always there for each other. When the dust, I would always just say, even from the very first, when the dust clears,
it's always him
and I. We've had friends come and go. We've had pastors and ministries come and go. We've had even family members come and go. And when the dust clears, it's still Teresa and Gerald in the end. 16 years of Teresa and Gerald in the end.
And I want to show you something because, Shirley, come here for a minute. We didn't know we were going to be this transparent or this, but it's good because people need to know this part of it. Come here for a minute, Shirley, please. That's my sister, y'all. This is Aunt Jemima. Come around here to the front. I want to show people. Y'all can see that my husband is physically in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that was yours.
I want her to hold this.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to move back.
Oh, okay.
Hold it. That people, y'all can see my husband's in a wheelchair. I just want y'all to see that I too am in a wheelchair. I don't even know if y'all can see this. I'm just trying to show you. Well, you see me moving.
Yeah, she
okay. I'm in a wheelchair. Okay. I'm in this wheelchair because of my hip. I cannot walk. And my knee is a mess too, so I can't walk like I usually could. Thank you. That's my baby sister. And I just wanted to demonstrate that because
that's Shirley.
That's my husband's aide. That's my sister, and she's my husband's aide. But people don't understand love to the degree that we do. I'm in a wheelchair now basically because it's extremely painful for me to walk. And again, as far as intimacy is concerned, I couldn't be intimate if I wanted to be intimate at this juncture in my life because of my hip. Mm-hmm. My hip is just messed, is really bad. But that doesn't change the fact that we love. Our intimacy is so different.
Like we have a night it was actually last night. We have a date night that we know, and sometimes most times we don't have any money to go anywhere, but we just sit together and we'll laugh together and and watch programs together. We maybe a little snack, maybe potato chips,
like we're gonna go get some snacks today if it's not right.
Yeah, we're gonna get some snacks. Well, we're gonna still get some. But I'll send my aide.
But listen,
but that's intimate for me.
And we sleep in separate rooms.
Yes, I have a hospital bed.
Oh my God, this is so transparent. I'm about to cry.
She has a king size.
Not king.
Queen.
We had a king size. Yeah. We got rid of it and got a smaller. I got a smaller bed because my husband can't sleep in my bed. He can't sleep in a regular bed anymore because of his physical condition. Since he fell and broke his hip, since that day he's never been in a regular bed. He has a hospital bed, and that's what he sleeps in. And because this place is small, we don't sleep in the same room because his hospital bed and my bed cannot fit in the same room. Otherwise, we would be in the same room.
At least in the same room, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there are nights where I'll go in his room and I was like, can I get in the bed with you? And I'll get in the bed with him. And we just lay there and just hold each other. And to us, that's so special.
It is, really.
That's so special. Or he'll come in my room and put his little stinky feet up on my bed.
What? Stinky feet. We know better than that, don't we?
I'm just playing. But I'm trying to hold back my tears is what I'm doing right now. But so, we just wanted to let y'all know that don't give up. don't give up on your marriage. Don't give up on God. Trust God. Believe God. If you really want your marriage to be successful and you want your marriage to last, God will do it for you. You just have to be a willing participant. Okay? All right. So we'll talk to y'all next time. And again, this is Gerald.
And that's Teresa.
And we are
the Scots.
See ya.